It's 4 o'clock. I guess it's time to get serious, so I'll call the meeting to order. Our first item is our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Miss Stelter, can I borrow you a second, please? Log out again? Okay. Mm-hmm. Where you at? We're almost there, folks. Sorry for this. Okay. Reading of our mission statement, sir.
The mission of the Marshall Public School District is to educate, support, and prepare all learners for success.
Thank you. Approval of the meeting. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any additions? Hearing none, please vote. But I don't have control over here either.
The right meeting.
I'm on the second one.
Yeah, he's in the right meeting.
In the right meeting. You have to join it?
I'm in there. I'm logged in. Oh, there we go. Yes, ma'am. How am I doing?
There we go.
Good.
Thank you for getting up again. Let's see, that was Matt. Right?
No, it's Aaron.
Aaron? Okay, now we can vote. I got all excited about the motorcycle thing. That's probably a problem, so. Tiger Spotlight.
Right, this month or week, we'd like to recognize Terry Ballman. He's being inducted into the Iowa Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame. The Marshall Public Schools Activities Department is proud to announce that head football coach Terry Ballman will be inducted into the Iowa Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame. The Iowa Football Coaches Association will officially induct Coach Ballman during the 2022 fall football season. Coach Ballman had a long record of football coaching success in Iowa, including state championships, before coming to teach and coach for the Tigers. Ballman's Tiger football teams have won multiple conference, district, and section titles since his arrival in 2005. Terry is a first-rate coach in every way, said MPS Activities Director Rick Purrington. He's able to find that extraordinary balance of developing one of the most competitive teams in the state while also grooming players to be upstanding young men. Coach Ballman is truly the model of coaching success. We are lucky to have him as a PE teacher and a football coach at MHS, and we congratulate him in this deserving honor. So congratulations to Terry.
Public forum. Now is the time. Anybody in the public that'd like to approach the board? Now is your time. Moving on to our presentation. Southview Elementary, a year in review. Mr. Thor, it's always a pleasure to see you here with us.
Ray, he's one of our own. He came through our school district as well.
All right. First, I want to thank the board for allowing me 5 to 10 minutes to just talk about our first year at Southview. It's been a huge blessing for me to just see it, our school come to be. I want to thank everybody that was in place, the planning committee. There's been a lot of different people that were there to go through the process. I kind of jumped in at the end of it. I want to thank Deion Karen for helping with every little detail that we've had to deal with. There's been plenty of those. But I want to kind of just go through. I have about 10 different slides here. Really, the focus is on our students and the growth of our students. I would say, first and foremost, the greatest part of my job is getting to walk through those doors and greeting those kids in the morning. They all come in and they're just happy to be there. They want to give me hugs. They want to give me high fives. They're eager to see their teachers and learn new things. Having a second grade student myself, this year was the best year my son's had in our district. He was one that went through half of kindergarten and we were out of school. And last year was a modified school year, and this year was the first time he had some normalcy. I don't know if they finally have a normalcy yet, but we're working at it. And some of the things that I'll highlight are like things like the first time going through a concert as a class. Little things like being able to work in groups or being able to put their desks in groups. Just the social aspect of being around their peers is a huge thing. And so I've noticed that we have had to meet with a lot of small groups to just talk through kids about how do you interact with other kids. And those are skills that we typically would do at a lower grade level than second grade. So I'll go through this, and then if you guys have any questions, I can answer some questions at the end. Our year started, I kind of say officially started on Friday, August 20th with our grand opening. From my best estimates with the number of flyers we gave out for maps and just different head counts that we tried to do, my guess is we had anywhere between 1,200 and 1,500 people come through our building. It was packed, it was awesome, and we heard lots of just great reviews. We also had to bring in our second grade team to join the third and fourth grade team, and that was a learning experience for me to just work with educators that I hadn't worked with before. And so a lot of this year was learning how a second grade team worked. I had worked with third and fourth for a year. And then we also had new staff in the office as well. We had the addition of an SEL teacher and SEL small group teachers as well. It takes roughly 80 plus adults to run our school each day. You'll see up there we have 7 office staff, 2 Greater Minnesota counselors, 3 custodians, 51 certified staff, 21 support staff. This year we've run into a lot of issues with getting subs within our building, and so we've had to be creative about how we cover different classes. I want to thank my teachers for being flexible and taking different roles, doing different things that we typically wouldn't do in a normal year. But you also see out there, we do serve 509 students that come through the door each day. And we hope that that number continues to grow. I talked earlier about our SEL class. We've done second step for a year previously, but this is the first year we had a SEL teacher. So last year we had the addition of a 0.5 SEL teacher, Mr. J, applied, and we've been really fortunate for him to be in that role. He does a great job of connecting with our kids. He does teach that curriculum to all of our students within our entire building. We also have Mrs. Williams that pulls students into small groups, sometimes one-on-one, and Mrs. Bigler as well. So those 3 do a great job of connecting with our kids. You'll see the key components up there: emotional management, impulse control, problem solving, and empathy are kind of the core components that we teach with second step. PBIS is also a big part of our school. Our PBIS team is all volunteer, mostly certified staff, but we do have several support staff that sit on this team. The last 2 years, we've been going through the state's training to be a certified PBIS school. The last 2 years, it's been hard to get the team together to do the training. So we've been doing it virtually. We've been doing after hours. So I want to thank our PBIS team for all the time they've put into it. We did graduate from the program, so we are a certified PBIS school, according to the state. They help create a culture for all of our students and all of our staff. I think our students see all the little assemblies that we do, but they focus a lot on just staff morale as well, and that's a big part of our school. Last year, we didn't have any visitors within our building. This year, we slowly opened up and had firefighters come. We had a veteran come in and talk. We had the SMSU team come and work with our gym classes, along with a lot of other different things. We had students from the high school come, and it's always great to see how the kids' eyes just light up when they see some of our juniors and seniors come back and read to our second, third, and fourth graders. We allow junior achievement, and we're just opening up a little bit more, and our students get a more, I would say, enriched learning environment. So I really enjoy just having our public within our building and serving our kids as well. I talked about this a little bit, just what is normal. You know, I look at the different assemblies and the fun that our teachers get to have with our students. Our students don't see our teachers in that realm a lot, and so it's fun to see that. I love walking into classrooms and seeing different kids working with kids that are different than them. And the concerts this year were really good. I hope that our kids learn, if nothing else, that they need to respect each other and that they need to work with each other. Some of the other activities that we're doing that we're inviting parents or the community in for are, some of these are things we do within the building, but some of them we do invite parents in. We're just finishing up the Wax Museum projects where fourth graders do their speeches. They basically research a famous person in history. They write a paper about it. Then they memorize a speech, and they dress the part. Parents come in, and they do their speeches. We're also having class plays that are starting this week until next week. We have our spelling bee coming up next week, and then our fourth graders will end the school year with a carnival. Last year, when I was trying to find a way to connect our teachers to not just be second grade, third grade, and fourth grade, we had these different ideas of putting different words on these walls by the lockers. And so I allowed the teachers to kind of just write down what are some things that we really want to be able to teach our kids, or what are some values that we want to encourage. And so these are the 6 that our teachers voted on that we try to teach our students. So being responsible, being respectful, those are also part of our PBIS models. Being kind, to dream, to persevere, and to have integrity in all that we do. Our academic focus with math and reading, like I said before, it's always about individual growth of all of our students. We use the Daily 5 model or framework for our reading classes, and we are using the guided math for our math classes. This spring, after a year of being in the same building, we're really focusing on, hey, how do we make sure that we have key elements of each of those models within all of our reading classes and all of our math classes. One fun project that I've kind of put on our site leadership team and really all of the students is, in the fall, I thought about, hey, do I just put different things into the time capsule? I wanted the kids to have a say in it. And so along the way, different people have come to me with different things. So we have like a face mask. We have COVID tests. We have T-shirts. We have lots of different things. Before the students leave for the summer, they'll get to vote on what goes into our time capsule. And then I'll share that with everybody. And really, I just want to thank you, the board, and our community for just providing a beautiful school for our students. You know, there are times where we get frustrated about maybe the air is just not right or things like that, but then we think of where we've come from and what beautiful school we have, and there's not much to complain about. So I want to thank everybody, especially our community, for their support. Any questions?
Peter, on behalf of the board, I want you to share with your staff how lucky we are to have them. When I've gone through there, it's just been very positive. Everyone's happy. We're blessed to have you as administrator. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pete.
Thanks.
Thanks, Peter.
Moving on to our consent agenda, motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'd just like to recognize the donations we got from ADM. I think it's important that we publicly recognize and thank when we get donations like that for English programs and for our CTI programs. So very generous of them to do that.
So taken, absolutely. We'll go ahead and vote, please. It is approved. Moving on to our financials, motion to discuss. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Open for discussion.
General fund expenditures were normal this month. We did have our food service bill miss the cut for the board report, so we'll probably see a double one for June. Otherwise, everything is kind of dwindling down for the year.
Any questions, board members? Vote, please. Is approved. Anything on financials you'd like to highlight?
Just each month that we do our board reports and put the revenue and expenditures together, things are looking a little closer to where we have our estimated budget at. Our revenue percentage is a little lower than previous years, but we've got some different things going on with revenue with COVID and some of our other ones, like compensatory being lower, but on the bright side, our expenditures are also, percentage is also lower, so it kind of evens out. But
Any questions, board members? Board forum, board members, anybody like to bring up anything?
Yeah, I'll share a little bit about the Facilities Committee. We met last Thursday, and we met with ICS, and we reviewed the bids for the CTI project. And as most of you know, we're seeing in a lot of areas bids coming in unexpectedly higher than original projections. So we had a lot of discussions around that. ICS shared with us some feedback that they think we can still complete the project within our allocated budget, but we have some work to do in order to make that happen. So we had a conversation about our need to kind of put this project together in a way that makes sure the facility still meets what we intended it to do, and it's more of a long-term solution, so not making a rash decision, in the short term. Part of the conversation was also around the need, and Matt, you just alluded to it, being thankful for some of these business partnerships that we have. We need to continue to maybe look for additional partnerships and find ways to grow that. We did talk about timelines. Timeline of materials has been one of the bigger issues that people have, contractors have been dealing with. So as we make some changes, we're also going to have to go to the state for review on this project. And so that's a 16 to 20 week timeline that comes into play too. So we still feel that we have CNA, or we have the current facility in place so we can cover the CNA and the welding for next year. So we still think that we can get this project done, but we won't have it at the beginning of next year as we had hoped. So we're going to get the bids to approve here later. And once that's done, that'll give ICS the ability to start having conversations with our contractors and look at potential cost-saving measures so that we can still get the project done. So timeline's going to be pushed back, but we still think we can get it done.
Okay, very good.
We want to do it right.
Exactly.
Anybody else? Thank you. Board members, important dates to remember. Anybody have any questions on those?
Just want to make sure we share these with everyone. There's some big things coming up the next couple of weeks. I know a couple of board members have seniors as well, but we want to make sure all board members and community know the dates for graduations and scholarship ceremonies coming up this week. Maytech graduations up there. A lot of things going on. I encourage board members to attend as many of those as possible.
Moving on to your report there, Jeremy.
Yeah. So in my report, I also wanted to recognize ADM, first of all, with the donation they made. There was a $10,000 donation to help us with our CTI project. So very grateful for that, and that really helps us with putting that program together. I know there's a lot of community excitement around it. We're very grateful for those partnerships. And as Bill mentioned earlier, too, we are going to continue some conversations with other community partners on ways to work together to get that facility project together and have the supplies and equipment such we need to really put together a great program for our kids. Another thing in my report I wanted to mention was the state legislature recently passed a bill that provides hero pay or frontline worker pay to eligible frontline workers that worked in person during the COVID-19 pandemic. We don't have a lot of details around that one yet, but our understanding is that school employees are included in that. We're waiting for some additional details how that's going to work. Ultimately, the school will communicate the process to apply for those or request those funds from the state, and then the employees will request that themselves. So something we'll work on through the summer as we have information to share with staff. Early childhood, Tiffany shares that families got their 22-23 placement letter. Those were out by May 1st. We do have at this time a small waiting list for both the 3s preschool and the 4s VPK program. So we had very positive response to our openings this year for that programming. She also shared that they are doing for the first time a field day this year on May 31st in conjunction with Parkside Field Day. Students are going to have opportunity to do rotating stations outside with bubbles, sidewalk chalk, kickball, parachute, and lots of fun things. So get a bunch of 3- and 4-year-olds out for a field day, and that's going to be all sorts of fun. Planning for summer school programming has also begun. One of the ESSER funds, or some of the ESSER funds that we've received, specifically were allocated to provide funding for birth to age, or for summer school extended learning programs. So we're doing some birth to age 5 programming throughout the summer with some of the ESSER funds. So it's some additional staffing that would eventually come through funded by that. They're looking at registrations and kind of putting some programming together with that right now. Parkside, Darcy shared they had an exciting visitor this past month, something new. They had line workers from the MMU come, and they did activities where the kids got to go outside and see the trucks, and they got to ask the line workers questions and such. It was a fun thing for the kids. She also shares that they have some celebrations coming up as wrapping up the year. First grade is going to the YMCA, and kindergarten is going to Garvin Park, so field trips taking place at Parkside. She also shares their field day is going to be May 31st as well, and they're going over to Independence Park for theirs as they have the past few years. Southview, in his report, Pete shares that on Thursday, June 2nd, the reading teachers are going through a really great reading training. That's the name of the training. It's not just that it's really great. That is a program that specializes in helping educators teach the foundational skills that lead to strong decoding and fluent reading skills. So that's something that Parkside has been working on for the past 2 years, at least 1 year. And Southview's continuing that on, so it's a progression as the kids are getting older, continuing that same training through the different grade levels. He also shares in his report, second grade has a field trip to End of Line and Chautauqua, the End of Line Museum and Chautauqua, and they have class plays taking place in the next couple weeks. Third grade is doing a field trip to the Lyon County Museum. They're also going to visit library and talk about the summer reading program, and they'll be going to the zoo in Sioux Falls. And fourth graders have middle school tours coming up, and then they are doing the traditional fourth grade carnival at the end of the year. So a lot of fun things taking place at Southview at the end of the year as well. And I'm sure if any board members want to volunteer for that, he'd take volunteers to help with that too. He didn't put that in the report. But middle school, Paula shares that Janiyah Andrews and Kylan Duell recently had opportunity to sing in the grade 7 and 8 Minnesota Honor Choir with students from around the state. There were over 580 students that auditioned, and only 220 students made it. So it was really an honor for our students to be invited to be part of that, and they had a good experience with that event. She also shares that 65 middle school students in grades 5 through 8 attended the Science and Nature Conference at SMSU recently, where students learned about various science topics. Finally, she shares in her report, and we should have had in the district report too, the middle school is announcing, excited that Samantha Downing was elected the 2022 Teacher of the Year from the EA. She's been a teacher with us for a few years, teaches EL classes here at the middle school, and she's very deserving of this honor. So congratulations to Sam for that. High school, Brian shares that for the 4th consecutive year, Marshall High School has been named a top Minnesota high school ranked by U.S. News and World Reports for the 2021 school year. The ranking placed us 75th out of 866 high schools in Minnesota. He also shares they finished testing in MCAs. Reading and science was grade 10, math was grade 11, ACT was all the juniors, and advanced placement testing, NWA testing, lots of testing taking place in the year. We're also just wrapping up the NWA math testing, so that will all be done by the end of the school year. Brian also shares that on Saturday, April 30th, prom and after prom were held at the high school. Unlike last year, this year we were able to return to all of our traditional activities with Grand March, the dance, variety of entertainment activities for the students. MHS graduate Jet Skrine entertained the crowd with his magic show. And he also called out a special thank you to Gretchen Stelter and Nicole Jans, they're the prom advisors, and they really put on a nice event for the students that night. Event was certainly not be possible without all the parent volunteers, the staff that worked to help out, and the generous community donations that really make that night a special evening for the kids. Nice to have all these regular things happening again this year. A couple things, and we shared the important dates earlier, but Brian also calls out the Pride and Tiger Scholarship Ceremony is this Wednesday at 7 p.m. at the high school. Honors Convo is next week, May 24th. It's in the morning during the school day. This year we have special guest speaker Lois Quam, who is a high school 1979 graduate of Marshall High School, and she's going to attend and speak at the Honors Convo, and then she's going to visit classes and such afterwards too, so that's pretty exciting to have her coming. And then, of course, graduation is June 3rd at 7 p.m. at the high school as well. Maytech, Amanda shares that thanks to a special grant request from Nikki Axe Bell, that was through Pride and the Tiger, Maytech hosted a family meal during their fourth quarter conferences. This was a different event that Maytech has not done, and it's kind of an unusual request for Pride and the Tiger, but they were excited about the opportunity. It really was well received. The meal was a way to support busy families, get them to come at conferences, and then bring families and staff together to engage in conversations and learn more about one another. So it was really a successful event. They did a walking taco bar, and the kids helped serve, and they got to just spend some time with that meal together that evening. She also shares that Maytech has opened a kindness closet similar to what the middle school has, where they're supporting needs of students and families, where they can look for items such as clothes, kitchen items, games, toys, and such that they may need that's open at specified hours during the school day. And Maytech as well has a graduation approaching. That will be on Friday the 27th at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. If any board members are able to attend that one, they have a very nice ceremony to recognize the Maytech graduates as well. Activities, lots of things taking place there. Spring sports are nearing the postseason play. Boys and girls golf, girls softball, boys baseball, boys and girls track, and clay target league are all nearing that postseason time. Spring weather has definitely been a challenge. Many April contests were canceled or rescheduled, so May has become extra busy. BPA competed at Nationals in Dallas recently. The computer animation team that had included Logan Conway, Jordan Dusher, Maddie Brockberg, and Gamu Thaw, they placed in the top 10, and also Jasmine Mortland placed in the top 10 in medical coding. FFA competed at state convention, and the team of John Borboom, Mallory Evans, Braxton Seifert, and Mary Lanou finished first overall at the state convention. Spring play, the 12 Angry Jurors, was performed recently at the high school. It was May 5th through 7th. They engaged the audience with its message about recognizing our biases. He also finally shares that Tiger Speech Team competed virtually at the national tournament just this past week. So a lot of activities taking place, and our kids are really doing very well in activities this spring as well. In the Coordinator Special Programs, Mary Kay shares that plans continue to be implemented for summer school. We have approximately 19 classroom sections for session 1 and 16 for session 2 ready to go, still finalizing student registrations. The sections for summer school are for grades 1 through 8 for the next school year, and each grade level is scheduled to have at least 2 sections. So we see a need, and there's going to be a lot of programming offered for those students. She also shares that enrollment for Project Success after-school programming have been consistent from the month before. Project Success teachers continue to create engaging lessons and accommodate after-school programming for students. Last Thursday was the last evening of that program for this school year. Special Ed, this month, Jackie recognized Maytech location. Within this location, we provide services for students enrolled in Maytech who receive special ed, and also the Marshall Learning Center. MLC is the Setting 3 behavior program we added a couple of years ago. There are 2 total special ed teachers at the Maytech location, with 1 serving Maytech students and 1 serving the Learning Center students, as well as 1 paraprofessional that works with students at that location. The Marshall Learning Center students recently worked on learning life skills while creating treats for staff and students. They did a fun project where they had to find recipes, convert the necessary ingredient list to make the number that they needed, and create a shopping list on a budget, and then of course there were treats at the end. So that was a good activity for those students that was well received. Finally, Beth, in her report for Director of Teaching and Learning, She shares excited to welcome our students, parents, and the CEO investors to a kickoff event for that program that's going to be held next Monday evening at Britton's Roadhouse. The inaugural class will consist of 17 students from Marshall High School, 3 from Murray County Central, and 1 from Tracy High School. So we're looking forward to that event where they'll kick off and recognize all the investors that made that program happen. Earlier this month, she also shares they were honored to receive a Minnesota Campus Compact Community Partner Award. The Office of Placement and Licensure at SMSU nominated Marshall Public Schools, and we were recognized at that event last month. It was a virtual event that took place. And also Beth shares that they recently hosted a family engagement event at the Red Baron Ice Arena. So our EL students were able to enjoy ice skating, and for many of them it was their first time. So that was, I know the teachers were a little nervous going into that, but it was really a fun event. The kids had a lot of fun doing that. While the students were ice skating and the teachers were helping monitor that, the parents attended the World Cafe discussion event that was facilitated by Marshall's DEI Commission. So there's some good conversations with parents where the kids got to do a fun event as well. So that is a list of our site reports. Dion, I'm not going to forget you.
Just to update the RFP for the food service, we had 2 of the 3 companies submit bids, Taher and SFE, using the tabulation that MDE provides. We went through that, the pricing, and Taher ended up with the higher score of the 2. It was actually very close between the 2. We submitted the contract to MDE, which we're waiting for their approval. Once we have their approval, it'll come to the board for a recommendation for you to approve, and then we'll award the contract to Taher. Negotiations is going well. All 9 of the individual contracts have been negotiated and board approved. 2 of the 5 groups also have been negotiated and board approved. Thank you for that. Administrative support group and confidential group, we meet this week for our first meeting. So hopefully that goes well. And then the principals group has yet to reach out to us when they want to start meeting. Wanted to give an update on our benefit enrollment. Open enrollment this year. Back in April, in my report, I just laid out to you guys that we were changing things. It was going to be a virtual meeting for each employee. We wanted to go that route to make sure that employees were aware of what benefits were available, cost, and everything. The cost to do that was actually, there was no cost to it. It actually was a savings to the district by changing the way we do open enrollment. We feel it was very successful. We had 97%, 359 out of 369 employees went through open enrollment. In the past, we've looked at 60 to 70%. So we feel confident that the employees know what benefits they're getting. Just laid out a couple of things coming up. LTFM, our long-term facility maintenance and summer projects, try to have a presentation or something laid out for the board in June, so you're able to we'll have the 10-year LTFM revenue and expenditure plan for a recommendation for approval in July. Preliminary budget we're working on now. Presentation will be June 6th, which I'm sure you're very excited about. And then it wasn't in my report, a couple of things about some of our staffing. I don't remember how long ago it was, probably about 3 weeks ago, we had walk-in custodial interviews. Thank you, Tricia and Kate and Warren, for that process. We actually had 7 people come in which 4 of the 7 we hired. So it's very successful. It filled all of our holes. And then last Saturday we had, as part of the Marshall Radio and Chamber, had the job fair in which we attended, and I thought it was very well attended. We had quite a few people walk through and take some information, so hopefully they'll apply for some of our other openings or sub positions at Crossing Guard. So.
Very good. On the food service award, Dion, since when have we had to have MDE approval for a contract that we hold? How long has that been going on?
This every 5 years we have to go through the RFP process. So,
We have to have their approval for a contract we
yeah, we have to go back and
put together?
forth. Yep.
Why?
Because that's what they said, that's the law now.
Process.
They
So
don't pay the bill.
part of that
I'm
is-
sorry.
Yeah,
It's
no,
just,
Just so you know, part of that is we'll award Taher with the board's approval a 1-year contract, and then we have 4 years that we can actually renew that with board approval. But every 5 years, we have to go through this RFP
Okay.
process.
Bureaucratic stuff, huh? Okay, thank you. Somebody needed a job at the State Department.
Thank you, Dion. Discussion items is review of our policies 618, 620, 623, and 624. Any comments, any questions? Moving on to our action items. The first one is Marshall Career and Technical Institute construction bid recommendation.
Motion to approve the bids.
I'll second.
In discussion.
Is presented is a letter from ICS with the recommendation, along with the tabulation. The project was broke out into 3 different work scopes, the general, the mechanical, and electrical. And you can see those bid results. The good news is all 3 are local vendors, which we're excited to work with in the project. Feel like they'll work well with us. And we did accept 1 alternate, which includes some fiber duct work that we felt was necessary and would be cheaper to do through this project than afterwards without. So just asking for the board to approve the bids.
Any more comments? Hearing none, please vote. Is approved. Thank you, board members. This meeting is adjourned.